Hey guys, February is here, and you're probably wondering, what do I get to legend with? What's good? It's been a week into the expansion, a little over a week, the new mini expansion. The meta's all over the place. Tons of innovations, deck lists getting changed, and so I've kind of compiled 7 decks for tryhards. People who are trying to win. They're not playing for the memes. They hate fun. That's not true, but they're playing to win. You know, you want to win. You're playing to win. You're not just playing for the crazy thing. You're trying to win. And I've got 4 decks that are decks to get to legend with, and then I got 3 decks for high level players to get to high legend with. I didn't go for a top 32 finish. I didn't have to. It's very stressful because I am lucky enough to be a GM, so I automatically qualify for Masters Tours. But these are probably the 3 decks I would be playing if I was going for a top 32 finish. They're all decks that I've made YouTube videos on before, but so if you want a guide, feel free to check out those. Some of the newer ones that I have are a little more new, a little more out there, that are performing well, but the lists still aren't even refined yet, but they're still performing really well. So for my decks to get to legend with, for either for the first time, or you haven't been to legend that much, or legend is difficult for you, first, the #1 choice, you got to do Ramp Paladin. It's the hottest thing on the block. It's insane. The innovations, you probably heard me say bait, and you know what? I still think it's technically bait at my level. This deck goes less and less, I think, does less and less well the higher you get, but it's still being refined. People are still coming up with new innovations, but this is the most vicious syndicates recommended list. They cut the armor dealer for the 1 mana card, which I think was a very good choice. That card was just not enough value, and the deck would just too often run out of value. And it's also running 2 strongmen, which I play tested and on stream, and I really liked. They felt very solid. And it also runs the Sphere, Sapiens, and Barrow. So Barrow gives you the ability to come back on boards, especially with your 2 brooms, and Sphere, Sapiens just gives you that little extra consistency to hit your IABS or your Nozdorma. And this version doesn't run the amalgams, which I think because the old version really kind of had to because of the card draw issue. But now when almost all of our deck is powerful stuff, we need a little bit less card draw. I'm still not completely on board on the amalgams, but I think I play tested it, and having the consistency at 4 was definitely an advantage in a lot of situations. So I feel this list is really strong. And it's probably the simple. I joked on stream that what's really nice about it is I don't have to think that much. You just play on curve. So it's relatively straightforward. If you haven't played it, yeah, you get the nods down and you play your stuff, or you get high abyss and you play a spell. If you're going first, you play from Wandmaker, and that always pulls out your tip of the scales, gets you a giant board, do broken stuff. The tip of the scales always gets you Red Scale Drake, which always gets you Nozdorma. So it's incredibly strong, the powerful stuff, and it's relatively simple. You play big things, you chill, you wait for them to come up with a hard play. So my #1 deck. My #2 deck is Gibberling Druid. It's a version of Spell Druid, but we're running 2 Gibberlings. Tested this out on stream, went 6 and 3. It felt very solid. You do a lot of powerful Gibberling trades. So an example of a Gibberling play we did, on first we went Gibberling Innervate Nature Studies, and then we hit the resizing pouch that gives you a card. So we played that for 0. We got a Lightning Bloom, and then we played Lightning Bloom, Adorable Infestation, and True Reinforcements, and we actually ended up not even having enough space on our board, so we lost our last Gibberling. And that was a very easily won game. So there's a lot of powerful stuff you can do with Gibberlings to just get yourself a turn 1 giant board, because we have so many 0 mana cost things. This isn't running solar eclipses. I'm not sure about. I tested it out. This list felt fine, but I think it's less looking for that big value. But I think there's merits to both. the meta isn't as figured out, the lists aren't as figured out, so I could see solar eclipses going back in. I don't know what I'd really sub for. I recommend if you're going to try this list, just try it card for card. I haven't played enough Druid, but I did play this list and it felt very solid. Next, it's not a no hands deck list if I don't tell you to play Zoo. And this is one of my decks to get the legend. And you might say, no hands, Mr. No Hands, why aren't we playing this to get the high legend? And it's less of a skill issue and more of a meta call. I think right now at high legend, Enrage Warrior is everywhere, and we're just having a hard time beating Enrage Warrior with this deck. Not impossible, but it is tough. So it's a thing of, I think at high legend, because Enrage Warrior is so popular, I don't think Zoo is good, but it's an incredibly good deck to get the legend right now. It's one of the highest win rate decks, and I think it might be number 3. Ramp Paladin has a higher win rate. And what's nice is there's just a very high skill cap, so you can win at the lower levels, and you can just get better and better and better and climb and easily get into the top 200 legend. Like I said, once you get the top 200, I feel Zoo has current limitations in the current meta, but very, very strong overall. And my last deck to get to legend is Aggro DH. This deck hasn't really changed much. This is kind of a list running the same cards as previous lists from previous expansions, where we're not running any new cards, but it's just kind of a very strong bread and butter. This is the Lilganoth Aldrachi Warblades version, which sometimes can get there, the final push. I haven't played this list, but I know it's a solid aggro list. I think you're going to struggle at higher legend, especially the players get better. They play, you'll see a lot more, like I said, Enrage Warrior. And this list, Demon Hunter, Aggro Demon Hunter, where Zoo can kind of roll the punches, even if it's unfavored against Enrage Warrior. Aggro DH gets annihilated by Enrage Warrior. So this is not a good list at top like 200 legend, top 100 legend. But you know, if you want to get the legend, this is a great list to get the legend. Straightforward. You know, it's fundamentals of Hearthstone. I have a friend who just loves the fundamentals. He loves Aggro DH. You play your 1-drops, you buff them. You know, you might make things awkward for your opponent, so it's hard for them to kill your stuff. You get a tempo advantage. You push that tempo advantage, and then maybe you either just win or you get a finisher with burn with something like Lilganoth. So that's the fundamentals of Hearthstone. Great deck for the first time to legend, Aggro DH. So next I have my top decks to get high legend. These are for the tryhards. These are for the people that, I don't know, most of my, if you're watching my YouTube videos and you're at the same level as me, but you still are looking for what I think you should get there. First, I'm going to go with the best deck at the high legend, and I'm going to do 2 versions. One is Enrage Warrior. This first version is the Vicious Syndicate list that they posted, and they're kind of going all in on this, the Nitro Boost Poison, which is the new, maybe not all in, but this is kind of the new card that is quite useful, not only in Rogue, but in Warrior. It doesn't run Grom anymore, and it kind of is very similar to Enrage Warrior's pre-ETC, that it's got the Shield of Honor. This list felt, when I was playing it on stream a little bit, and it felt like you'd very easily just weapon hit your opponent down to like 15 life, and then you could get a Cork and Elite lethal. So a lot faster and less reliant. I think with the ETC right now, a lot of lists like OTK DH are not playing minions. So if you don't play minions, it's hard to OTK with ETC. So ETC has sort of more powerful late game reach, but this is a little bit faster, and the meta is very fast right now. And I have another Enrage Warrior list that I saw Wire posted, got, I believe, a top 32 finish, climbed all the way to rank 7 legend, and I just want to give this one an honorable mention. If you want to try something a little more spicy, a little bit newer, it runs Crab Riders. If you saw my evaluation, I said Crab Riders is an insane card, and really interesting synergy of using Stage Dive. People have run Stage Dives before in Warrior to get the brutes, but now and brooms, but now it's pulling the Crab Rider instead. So you can go Stage Dive on 1 into Crab Rider on 2. You can use Crab Rider if it sticks to go Inner Rage. It seems like it has a lot of potential to really play well. This list runs Grom and Korkin, kind of the more old style, but I really want to try this list out. I'm probably going to try it out later, but I haven't tried it out, so this runs also the Wranglers. There's a lot of lists out there. I haven't tested everything out enough, but I'm sure both of these Enrage Warrior lists are very good. I played the first one; it was good. This one looks a little more spicy. So, and we have a case study of someone getting top 10 legend with this deck. So I think this is a very good list to try out. Next, I got a Whirlkick Rogue list. Whirlkick Rogue is still good, still performing well. This is nothing really that fancy. This is what you've seen. This is, I believe this might be, I got this list version from Vicious Syndicate, but I'm pretty sure this is one card off of the list that I originally posted in my guide. No, it has brain freezes. I know brain freezes are all the range right now, but so it's got kind of a brain freezes, and it's got double questing, and it's got still runs Edwin. Whirlkick Rogue is still very good, very high skill cap. A lot of potential to outplay your opponent. So still a very good deck, even though Edwin did get nerfed. The reality is cards like Prize Plunder are insane. And so very good deck to get high legend with if you love Rogue. And finally, this is a list that was one card off the list that I theory crafted I believe, in my theory crafting stream from Vicious, where they cut, I believe, Lady Altruist for another Blessing of Wisdom, and it's kind of going all in on that Crab Rider with the double blessing, so you can get the draw with the Crab Rider a lot more reliably, get your Devout Pupils down, and it just Broom Paladin, not that much different other than the double blessing and the double Crab Rider, but Broom Paladin I think at high legend, more at medium legend or climbing to legend, does really, really well against Enrage Warrior. It's one of the best decks against Enrage Warrior, and I think you're going to annihilate Enrage Warriors, which is very common at the high level. But it's one of its worst matchups is Ramp Paladin. So if you're running into tops of Ramp Paladin, chances are this isn't quite the best deck, though I do feel this deck is a lot higher skill cap than Ramp Paladin. Like I said, Ramp Paladin is nice because you just play the cards and you don't have to think that much. There's still a little bit of thinking. There's capable of making mistakes, but this Broom Paladin is a lot more complex, and there's a lot more room, I think, to outplay people. So Broom Paladin, I think, is my final deck that I think is a top deck to get high legend with. So anyways, so I hope that was helpful. I got deck lists and links to all these decks in the description, so check that out. Hope that was helpful, and enjoy, guys.